Joining us now from the Beehive State of Utah is congressional candidate and former NFL star Burgess Owens. Mr. Owens, thank you very much for joining us today. A very impressive resume that we just kind of went through right there. So really just come out and tell us, why are you deciding to run in 2020?
Thank you, first of all, Alex. I appreciate this opportunity. My mission since I left the NFL was actually to impact those most at risk. At that time, I thought it was my community. Over the last 30 years, I've realized that all youth now are at risk. And as long as we have the left, the leftists, the Marxists and socialists that will control our policies, our kids will continue to be at risk. So I decided about 4 or 5 months ago, in order for us to get our country back, to get our country moving in a direction where we are proud of who we are, we have a vision and a focus, we need to get back to the House. So it just so happens that this particular seat, the 4th District, is between 1 and 2 in terms of the most important seats to be gotten to return to the support or have the House return to the Republican Party. So that's why I'm running for it.
And I said before, I kind of went through your resume a little bit before. You have a very impressive history, one that's kind of a little bit unorthodox for a typical politician, but I guess that's almost what people are looking for nowadays. You know, if you're kind of part of the establishment, that may not necessarily be something that you wanted to brag about the same way that people used to. So really kind of explain to me and our viewers, why is your very unique skill set, how will that translate into being a good lawmaker?
I think because I'm one of those guys who never ever thought I'd be a politician. I've always believed that the free market is where we can actually do the most positive things for our country, to actually to reach back and help people to get things done. I grew up in a very positive household back in Tallahassee, Florida in the 60s. And I think that household is what informs me when I talk about our country, when I talk about particularly Utah, head, heart, hands, and home. You hit that so well. That defines our American way. And I think it's important that we get back to having a conversation where we truly understand what it means to be American. We don't have to go through 2-hour discussions when it comes down to basically education, God, industry, and family. No matter what side of the aisle we're on, whether it be Democrat, Republican, or Independent, those who love our country can agree that is really what defines us. And those who don't agree with it, we now know that's who the enemy. And the enemy right now is the socialists and Marxists, all colors, that hate our country and hate those 4 tenets. If we can get back to those common sense ideas and work together, then we will get our country back, and our kids will have a great future ahead of them.
And you mentioned that you were born in Florida, and I've read a little bit about you before this interview, and you said that you grew up in the segregated South, and that's something that you say really developed your perspective of where you are today. And we played a clip a little bit earlier. Former Representative Mia Love, when she lost her election, she said that a big part of that was because of race, whether it be on a national level or in her home district. Do you see that being a hurdle in your upcoming campaign?
No, race has nothing to do with it. My religion has nothing to do with it. What has to do with it is my belief in an American way and pride in our country. Actually, things that our country is now doing because we have a president in place is drawing a line that says, you know what, guys, we are fighting for the Judeo-Christian values that made our country great. And we are who we are. We need to be proud of it. We need to stand for it. We need to fight for it. So it has nothing to do with race. It has to do with my convictions from within. And for, thank goodness, a great community, a great family that I grew up in that taught me to fight for what I think is right. And that's God, country, and family.
And you bring up President Trump there, too, which I think is important because in the last election, the 2018 midterms, Representative Love lost her seat by about 700 votes to her Democrat challenger, Representative McAdams. So now in 2020, you're going to have President Trump on the top of that ticket, which a lot of people will say will bring out more conservative voters. That may be enough to kind of make up for those 700 votes. Do you think that's a big part of the strategy? Do you think having President Trump at the top of the ticket will help you out in 2020?
Oh, it's absolutely. Listen, having a president who loves our country and willing to be bold about standing for it, and we see that every single day, is not only bringing out people like myself, it's actually across our country. No matter what race, color, and creed, we have people that are saying, you know what, it's great to be an American. I'm going to fight for the American way. I'm not going to sit back and do what has been done in the past, be very vanilla. So I think, yes, because you have a bold president with great policies that help our American people, we all win. And because of that, we will definitely win 2020.
And, you know, Utah is traditionally a conservative state. However, as we said before in the segment, it didn't go that heavily for President Trump in 2016. So there are some issues that are a little bit unique to the state of Utah that may not be the same as maybe you'd see in a Texas or another red state or something like that. What issues are very important to you, and do you plan on running on?
Very simple. I tell you what it comes down to, and I talked about before tennis. What's very nice about our culture here is that we are a culture of solutions, service, and surplus. We are a culture that loves outside-the-box thinking. So I think the hand piece, the entrepreneurial piece, being creative is important. The service part is part of our culture. We love God here, and that's across the board. It doesn't matter what religion we're part of. We have an affinity to Him. And the most important thing is we love to, whatever little bit we get back, we love to give back. We love the idea of surplus and giving. So I will deal with any policy that allows us to take that culture that really makes our country what it is every across this country, and particularly take it back to D.C., where right now they seem to be totally opposite of what our culture is here in Utah.
And Burgess, really quick before I let you go too, if people want to find out more about your campaign, where can they go?
Burgess for Utah, the 4 tenets I just talked about, Burgess for Utah, and we'd love to have your support. And believe me, the American values is what I stand for, and we'll be going back to Utah. That'll help all of Americans, not just Utah.
Burgess Owens, I thank you very much for coming on tonight. Everyone, you can go follow him right there. But once again, Burgess, thank you very much.